Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Ask the Theologian. Glad you're here on Monday. We are ready for your biblical, theological, and worldview questions. I bet we'll have a good time this Monday looking at all that is up. Let's see. Are we going to have any first-time questions? Are we going to have any snarky comments? We'll check that out and see what we got. Hope you had a good weekend and starting out with a beautiful Monday on this Easter week. Welcome, welcome. Glad to see all of you here. Let's see, where are we? I think I may be wrong. I hope if I missed one of your old questions and it doesn't get popped up here in a little bit, you let me know. But I believe, I already answered that question. That's not where I'm going to start. I believe we're going to start with Shirley in Ridgecrest, California on this beautiful Monday. And Shirley has a question on Ephesians chapter 3, verse 9. There's a little bit of background info that I am not privy to at the moment, but let's see what we've got here. So the question: why do they say that the King James made a mistake with Ephesians 3:9? Now, the background information is that she is watching, or was watching, a debate with James White. James White, no relation, thankfully, because it would not be a happy Thanksgiving dinner if I was related to James White. James White is, I think he's bald. Maybe. He's an anti-Bible guy. Oh, he would just have had a aneurysm if he heard me say that. But he believes in all those fake Bibles and doesn't believe in the King James Bible. So an anti-King James guy, yeah, there he is. I thought he was bald. A Baptist theologian, there's the problem. Director of Alpha and Omega Ministries and Evangelical Reformed Baptist Christian Apologetics Organization. Right there's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Evangelical Reformed Baptist. In fact, the only thing good I'll say there is Christian, even though Christian's messed up. But let's talk about those before we get into here. Evangelical. I'm an evangelical. Well, that means you don't have a clue what you are, because evangelical has no meaning. There's no definition to it. So you just as well say, I'm like jelly. Yeah, I'm of the jelly crew. Okay, evangelical. Reformed. That means you take 98% of Catholic theology. So I'm an evangelical who's 98% Catholic. Baptist. Well, you know, I got some Baptist in me, and I don't have any problem with some Baptist tenets, obviously. But Reformed and Baptist simply don't go together. It's like saying I'm a Presbyterian Baptist. Well, you can't be a Presbyterian Baptist. Reformed Baptist, there's no such thing. I'm convinced, by the way, denominational Baptist, there's no such thing. You're not really a Baptist if you're denominational, because one of the tenets of Baptist is independent. And if you're part of Reformed, you hold to creeds and you hold to denominations. You're not Baptist. Christian? Maybe. Apologetics. Again, he says I am, or Wikipedia anyway. Maybe he disagrees with it too. But Wikipedia says it's an Evangelical Reformed Baptist Christian Apologetics organization. And apologetics, I I'm not a big fan of apologetics. I would rather do Bible study. I think apologetics is, how can I say this rude? It's a girl's sport. Apologetics is a girl's sport. I'll put the snarky bell. If you want to be a man, do Bible study. And apologetics will take care of itself if you do Bible study. If you just do apologetics, it's like, I don't know, just eating the icing off the cake. It's a girl's sport. Based in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, okay, at least that's a good deal. Graduated from Grand Canyon University. It used to be a Baptist university before the Baptists totally messed things up. Southern Baptist University. Now it's independent and done better since it's independent. Fuller is like the heart of evangelicalism. Let's see, he has his bunch of degrees from Columbia, Evangelical Seminary, and unaccredited online school. Well, I don't have a problem with unaccredited. The legitimacy of White's academic credentials has been, I will not question the legitimacy of his academic credentials any more than mine. And all of mine were like recognized schools, but they were not legitimate education. This right here, that little line right there, the legitimate of James White's academic credentials has been questioned. Well, good. You ought to. A guy's intelligence is not connected to his academic credentials at all. So there's the mixed review. But he is, as someone says, he's a rabid Calvinist. He's a rabid Calvinist King James Bible hater. In other words, he doesn't use a Bible. So he must say something about Ephesians 3:9 to get back down now to the real issue and to the question. Let's see if we can determine why one White thinks the King James is wrong and the other White thinks the King James is right. It is White versus White, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it'd probably be better if I had a clip or, the good doctor with questionable academic credentials would join the other good doctor with questionable academic credentials and put that together. Okay, but let's pretend. Here's Ephesians 3:9. And to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery which from the beginning of the world hath been hid in God, who created all things by Jesus Christ. A very important verse for rightly dividing the word. Now we are going to go, I'll have to bring up that other software that uses other kinds of Bibles. And let's pull up, well, I tell you what I can do here. We're talking Ephesians 3:9 again, and I believe I can do a text comparison. Let's pull this up. And sorry, taking just a moment to get all that where you can see it well. Okay, let's take a look at the comparisons here. Ephesians 3:9. We're looking at this top column here, and maybe I can even make the words a little bit bigger. There we go. And to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery. There's our King James. Okay, NASB, to bring to light. To bring to light, ESV, to bring to light, NIV, to make plain, versus to make all men see. Let's see in just a moment. We'll look at the whole verse first and then go back. Let's see, number one, does the text say make see or bring to light? And I don't think, obviously, I don't think that we would have any doctrinal issue there. If, I saw the light, it was made plain to me, I see it. Okay, kind of same things, but let's keep going. The fellowship of the mystery, this little section right here, the fellowship of the mystery. NASB says the administration of the mystery. ESV, the plan of the mystery. And NIV also the administration. Okay, fellowship versus administration or plan. Some difference there. Let's see. We'll see what the underlying text is or what the words are in a moment. Which from the beginning of the world hath been hid in God. NASB says, which for ages has been hid in God. ESV also hidden for ages in God. NIV for ages past was kept hidden in God. Okay, has it been hidden in God for ages or just from the beginning of the world? Let's pretend there, let's play with this a little moment in our mind, trying to think where he's coming from. Of course, I hadn't heard what he says. But let's pretend here for just a moment that he believes it's only for ages, it's not from the beginning of the world. At which point I would want to know, well, when was it revealed? At what point? And can you show me that? Something in Scripture that says right here is where it was revealed. And he closes, who created all things, Paul closes, who created all things by Jesus Christ. And the others scratch out Jesus Christ, just God who created all things. Created all things, created all things. Not very kind to Jesus there, scratch him out of the picture, but I suspect, we'll have to look at this, I suspect we could go, for example, to Colossians and show that all things were created by Jesus Christ. So that wouldn't be like new theology. All things are created in Jesus Christ. So where did the King James make the mistake? That's what we're trying to figure out here. And to do that, let's bring up the Greek texts and see if we can come to understand this a little better. So I will bring up first of all again, sorry, it's taking me just a minute to do this. I will bring up the received text, the Newberry text, the one that the King James is built upon, the one that they didn't get out of a trash can from a Gnostic area. To enlighten is the way that Newberry translated this word enlightened. Now, photizo, this is where the word photizo, photon, this is where NASB and whatnot decided to go with to bring to light, to make men see. However, the word photizo, it does not necessarily have to be connected to light. So if that's his issue, no, it uses the word photizo, it has to be light. You got to use light on there. No, you don't. You can use light. Because in English, photon has to do with light. But I think if we study photons, like scientifically, they don't necessarily have light in them. Now, a photon, I know enough science to be dangerous, and a photon is a little bit of a mystery to science. They know they exist. They can't explain photons at all. They know that photons create light or manifest themselves sometimes in light. But in Greek and in English also, photon, the same, it's not only the word, the root for photon for light, photizo, but it's also the root for phantom. Phantom. Now, a phantom is a visible manifestation of the invisible. So, to make men see. As a matter of fact, I would suspect that the King James would be more scientifically accurate, because light, we know nothing about light other than it reflects off something, and when it does reflect off something, that's when you can see it. So I suspect that that word photizo has more to do with bringing to visibility, and thus the King James says to make men see, much more so than to bring to light. Now, I think again we wouldn't have a problem, if someone, I was revealing something from the scripture that someone hadn't seen, and they say, "Oh, the light came on." So that first part of the verse to make men see or to bring to light, let's give that. Although I would say when you are persnickety, to bring to light, I think, would be much more scientifically accurate and accurate according to the Greek text. Now, one thing that I ought to do is photosci. Okay, no difference in the underlying Greek text there. So let's go back to the Greek. To bring to light, to make men see, we've done with that. As to what is the fellowship of the mystery, koinonia. Koine is common. Fellowship is it's having things in common. Now, this is where NASB went with the administration of the mystery, and ESV went with the plan of the mystery. So my guess is we've got, yes, we do. Okay. We've got an underlying textual issue here. So, in the middle of the screen right here, this is the Nestle Aland 27th version. They threw away 26 of them. That was after throwing away however many versions of the Westcott and Hort. And now they've actually thrown away the 27th version. I got the trash version because they're on the 28th version now, maybe even the 29th version now. And he wants me to believe that this Bible, yeah, it's a Bible, that they change, the academics change it every few years and make a new version. Oh, new revelation. We got a new word from God. Oh, we discovered that the church hasn't had a Bible all these years. Now they got it because in a trash can we found one little shrivel of paper that had a different word. That's just laughable, James White. But you got this, they come back to the middle. They say, what is the oikonomia instead of the koinonia? These are definitely two different words, not even the same root. Oikonomia is oikos nomos. Koinonia is koinos. So two different words. Not it's a different form of the root word. They are two different root words. So here, the issue is, and this is where I'm assuming that James White says, okay, the King James made a mistake. No, they translated a different document. That's not a mistake. You would never, ever, ever in a billion years translate koinonia as plan. Ever. Even a first-year Greek student would say, no. Koinonia, fellowship. Oikonomia, dispensation, maybe administration, maybe stewardship, house rule. Yeah, okay. So if the word is oikonomia, then the administration or the plan or the dispensation, yeah, you could do that. But if it's koinonia, you can't ever do that. It's the fellowship of the mystery. So that is no mistake. That is a strategic decision of which text are you going to choose. And I think that even though all of evangelicalism, and I would say probably the vast majority of Reformed theology, so you go back to evangelical, Reformed, Baptist, Christian apologetics, all of those, they would choose what I think is a fake text. And so then you got to deal with which text is right. I think it's the Textus Receptus has all of the evidence. I think if you could get, let's say we could get a jury. You know, in a trial, in a jury, the goal, I think, well, depending on who the prosecutor is, but the reason the prosecutor doesn't get to choose the jury by themselves is because they would choose a jury that is going to see everything their way. So the prosecutor, the defense attorney, they come together, you know, they work, and theoretically, their goal is, we want people who don't know anything about this, but they have a good head on their shoulders. They can look at evidence and make a reasonable decision. Now, if you could find such a thing in the world and lay forth the evidence on the received text versus the whichever version, 27th, 28th, 29th, that the fake Bible people want to put forth, and let the jury decide with the evidence which one should be trusted, it's going to be the Textus Receptus. But the seminaries don't teach that. I graduated with, maybe I was a special kind of stupid, but I graduated with a master's degree in divinity and biblical language from Southwest Baptist Seminary, Theological Seminary, which at the time was the largest theological seminary in the world. Used to tell us that every 3 days. It's not anymore. And then I got a doctorate of ministry degree, all of them accredited. And honestly, now again, maybe I was just dumb as a box of rocks and slept through this part, but I didn't know there was an issue in underlying texts. We never talked about that. If we did, it was 30 seconds in passing. You know why we didn't talk about it? Because it would mess up the narrative. It wasn't education I got, it was indoctrination. It would mess up the narrative. But boy, did I know the history of the Southern Baptist Convention. I didn't know my Bible, but I knew, you know, when the WMU was started in Birmingham, Alabama. So, anyway, forgot where I was going with that. Why don't we give people that information? The only place you're going to get that information is from my King James only friends. And I know some of you are scared of my King James only friends because they win the snarky bell every time. They're snarky people. And that offends some people, like, you don't like Trump's tweets and therefore he's a bad guy. I would say with those King James only people, if they got rough edges, God bless them. At least they're trying to put forth. Probably the reason they got rough edges, and I see this in my life anyway, where my rough edges are places that I'm ticked off. That makes me mad. And what makes me mad is when you're trying to put out something that is so logical and so truthful, and you put it out 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 and you put it out, and people say, can I have some more coffee? So I think that's why the King James only people are so, can we call them rabid? Because the world is so stupid. They get rabid. Yeah, it's good. They're putting out there a message that nobody else is hearing. They are not going to get it at one of the big box seminaries. Few independent fundamental little Bible colleges, unaccredited, is the only place they're going to get it. So it's no mistake. I don't know if James White called it a mistake or not, but it's not a mistake. It's an underlying textual issue. Let's go back, see if there was anything else. The mystery which has been hidden. Let's see if I can put these right next to each other here so I can slide back and forth. There we go. Okay, so they say the koinonia of the mysterion. Same word for has been hidden from the ages. Apotone aeon. Let's check this. Apotone. Okay, so hidden from the ages, hidden from the ages in God. Now, okay, let's go back here. So it's the NASB that says which for the ages has been hidden. ESV says, let's see, hidden for ages. Hidden for ages. That, I would say, that is not a good translation of this right here, apotone aeon. From is a preposition. The ages are here and from, separated from that. The ages. For ages. Yeah, it's just a... I'm going back to the Textus Receptus here. Yeah. So, the mystery hidden from the ages. I'm afraid this part might, let's see if I can, during the commercial break, which we don't have, I'm going to see if I can search. Let's see, how do I do this now? That's not how to do it. Maybe if I change. Well, Yeah, okay. Here's what I was trying to do. Let me pull this back up, and at least I'll show you, and some of you can maybe make that work. I took the passages on the right of your screen, and there's 72 of them, so we don't have time to do it right now. But I took just the Greek word apotone. Now, tone is just a definite article. From the. I searched from the. You could fill in whatever. And let's just go ahead and grab a couple of these. I think we can do this. From the Matthew 1:21. Okay, he will save his people from their sins. I'm sure it says from the sins of them. So if you take that concept, the mystery hidden from the world, and what does NASB say? Hidden for ages. You can never save them for their sins. Wouldn't make any sense at all. I'm just going to go at random here. Let's try Acts 3:26. And here we go, Acts 3:26. Unto you first, having raised up his son, sent him to bless you, turning away every one of you from his iniquities. We got the same thing. My guess is you're going to get apotone is from the. Let's see. Okay. Loosed him from his bands. It's a moving away from is apo. So if anybody twisted and perverted this, it's NASB, ESV, NIV, apotone. Again, let's check it sometime, those 72 times, and let's see what's the way to do apotone. That is from, away from a genitive. And see what's there. So again, I think the issue with guys like James White is they've been indoctrinated, one, and this is what apologetics does. Apologetics is just an indoctrination kind of thing. So they've been indoctrinated, and somebody like James White is fairly skilled at blabbering his indoctrination, and that's what you've got. Shirley in Ridgecrest, California, spent a good deal of time with that. I'm going to ask my coder a question. So when I click complete answer and nothing happens, what should I do next?
Probably click the X.
Was the answer. Does that get it over into the Ask the Theologian site?
Should have worked the first time. That it will,
See if it's there twice. We'll check that. We're dealing with coding issues here today. Okay. Let's pick up with. Oh, here's. I think this is more of a. Yeah, it's kind of a suggestion, comment, and I like it already. I can see where it's going, and so I'm going to bring it up here on my list. And so Rudy says, can I ask, on the Unlearn It series, if you don't have it yet and you find it interesting, the old covenant was for the Jews, the new is for the church. Amen. I like that. We need to unlearn it. I'm going to put that there. That's what I'm going to do. In the Unlearn It series, by the way, Unlearn It, here we have the graphic, Unlearn It, Deprogramming Our Evangelical Mind, coming April 16th. That's 2 weeks from yesterday. And thanks, Rudy. We will do that. So, Mr. Coder over there. Are you telling me I should click it?
No.
Oops.
Just hit it, click it once, and if it doesn't go away, hit the X.
And when that happens,
Did you hit the X?
so now hit the X. And now it should be there.
If you already hit complete, yeah.
Well, I sort of did, but I don't really know. It doesn't do anything. We'll see there. Lorraine, let's see, Lorraine, this question is from last week. Lorraine told me where she was from last week, and I forgot. Lorraine, I'm sorry. If you're still with us, let me know. There's a lot of talk about King Charles being the Antichrist. Yeah, I think there always, I would say always has been. Obviously, he was Prince Charles, but he's always been a little bit of a creepy sort of fella. With apologies to the Brits. But he's not the Antichrist. I wrote a book. It's called The Antichrist, What You Can Know and What You Can Know, What You Should Know. I think is I should know. I wrote this book, but I did it 15 years ago. I still agree with the material in the book, though I would change a few things. Like I was not a King James user then. I would go to the King James, whatnot. But you can still get the book. The Antichrist by Randy White. I might have even mentioned Prince Charles. But I don't think, and in fact, I would say when you study the scripture closely, he doesn't fit the bill for being the Antichrist. King Charles can be a little creepy. No doubt about it. But that's not the criteria. Being creepy and being a world leader is not the criteria for the Antichrist. Otherwise, it would just be too many creepy world leaders. And I think the Antichrist, biblically, I think the Antichrist is Jewish. And he is from the old Seleucid area of the Greek kingdom. That would be, let's say, Asia Minor, going over into Syria. Well, I would say, if you want to, in simplest terms, it would be Syria and Turkey. Well, King Charles is not from Syria and not from Turkey, and he's not Jewish. And furthermore, even the description of, this guy coming out of nowhere. Well, King Charles was born, literally with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's had power from the day he was born. It doesn't fit this new arising world leader. Hey, where'd this come from? Even if you take the Jewish and the Seleucid area out of there, King Charles doesn't fit. So, even if you go into more the, let's say the conspiracy theories of, King Charles is part of the, creepy guys organization that meets under the bridge on the 6th day of the 6th month every 6th year. And they do something secret down there. Even if he's part of that thing that we don't know about, the Illuminati or whatever, he's not the Antichrist. King Charles, should the rapture delay, I'm all good in that not happening, but should the rapture delay, King Charles will die. If he got his mother's genes, it'll be a while, 20 years. But he'll die, and Prince William will become King William, who's not near as creepy, is he? Charles was creepy when he was young. At least William's not creepy when he's young. He seems like a nice guy. I've never met him. So there'd be a King William, assuming the monarchy lasts, and I think there's, every idea that it would. Just to put it on the playlist, I'm going to ring the bell for Lorraine's question, is King Charles the Antichrist? I will go for no. Let's go to Linda in Lexington, who I did get a little smile because Linda, this is not her question, but she in the previous discussion she has a little comment that says Jared Kushner is creepier. I'll give you a little snarky bell there. There we go. I was having a hard time ringing the bell. But here's the question. When the World Health Organization takes over every country's health care, I should stop right there and say, is the right word when? Maybe they already have. They pull a lot of strings with the American Medical Association. The American Medical Association basically owns health care. They own the CDC, and the CDC owns doctors. If you find out there a good independent doctor, pay him or her. If you are a doctor out there, I don't mean so much specialist like, I don't know, let's say anesthesiology or something, but I'm talking you're the doctor that people go to when they're sick. First line of defense. If that doctor might say, you got to have surgery, and for this we need a certain kind of skill in cutting. And so there's this guy over here. I'm not so much worried about those specialists. I'm worried about the family doctor, the internist, the family practice kind of thing. The first person that you go to when you need something. If you find one of those that hasn't swallowed the pill of the CDC and the American Medical Association, there's a good one. But they're rare. I would be good, and I don't know if this is even a thing. I'm never sick, so I don't know. I haven't been to a doctor in years. But if there was a thing of, here's a doctor who has chosen not to be approved by the American Medical Association. Can you even get your license with that? I doubt it, because who owns the AMA? The AMA owns the government, and the government tells who can be a doctor. Which is not a good thing. I only know, again, enough to make me dangerous here, but I do think New Mexico has a law that basically says anybody can be a doctor. And I think that's kind of a good thing. The reason New Mexico has it is because of the Native American population, and they got the medicine man, and the medicine man is not approved by the American Medical Association. I just want to find the guy or the gal that's just like, hey, I actually study. And studying, I learned some things, and learning some things, I practiced some things, and practicing some things, I found out work. I'm like a scientist. Whoa! Not an AMA doctor, I'm a scientist. That's the one. Look for them, search for them, find them, let us know who they are. Okay, now to the question with my commentary that is in there. But that family doctor, the pediatrician, find a pediatrician that says AMA stuff and CDC stuff is just a bunch of garbage. That's the one I would go to. What about you, Nathan? Yeah, he says so too. He also says they don't exist. Because they got their license taken away. That's right. And there are some. Find the doctor who lost their license. That's probably now find out obviously why they lost their license, but they probably lost their license for practicing medicine instead of spewing forth indoctrination. I'm not a big fan of the medical field right now, especially the non-specialized medical field. I got to read the question, Linda. When the World Health Organization takes over every country's healthcare, do you think they will place us on immediate lockdown saying there is a pandemic? I think that WHO and the AMA and the CDC are so thirsty for power that they will do whatever it takes to be in charge. I think the CDC, for example, was the de facto government for the United States during the pandemic. And whatever version of CDC you got in Belgium and England and all that, the Netherlands, the equivalent of the CDC became the government. And who was behind it all? So, yeah, will they do it immediately? They'll wait for the opportune time, but but they will do it. I think that we can probably expect, unless the populace just doesn't let them, which is questionable right now, I think they will find that they will find the prime opportunity, and then we're going to see more and more pandemics. I was thinking, I think this was just yesterday. It was yesterday or the day before, in my own thoughts. I didn't participate in the pandemic. I didn't get any shots. I didn't wear any gloves or wear any masks or any of that kind of stuff. I didn't quit going places. I traveled during the pandemic. I've got a few pictures of the airport, that's like me and the pilot. And when airport travel became a hassle, I just got in the car, traveled. My family gathered together. We had Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that kind of stuff. Went to church, shook people's hand like a crazy man. And a lot of the people around me, obviously, they did the same thing. I have not noticed that more of us are dead than more of them are dead. My octogenarian parents started a home group during that time. Hey, y'all, come over, fill the house, stick 20 people in the living room. They weren't worried about it. And none of them are dead. Just an interesting thing. So, yeah, who wants to take over, if hasn't already? And the bureaucrats. And in a sense, it's an issue of bureaucracy, because bureaucrats want to control. That's what bureaucrats do. So, will they do it? Oh, yeah, they will. Which is why I think we need politicians who will say, we'll close them down, we'll defund them, we don't need them. And it's true, we do not need the CDC. We do not need who? We don't need the American Medical Association. Capitalism, when allowed to work, it'll do it. If we let a market society just have it, we'll find a cure for cancer. Because there's big money there if you can get a cure for cancer. But we got to let the market do it. And now it's the CDC doing it. It's the government doing it. It's the big institution that are getting government grants that are doing it. So that has got to change. Shirley, back to Shirley in Ridgecrest, has a question that I just want to bring up a little bit as an advertisement. Because Shirley says, what's the root word for Easter? I have a friend that doesn't like the King James translation of the word, not using Passover. So, Shirley, I am here to help. If we go to randywhiteministries.org, I'm going to stop the current play there, and we go to a new look at an old story. If you pull up that playlist, of course you could do this on YouTube, you could do it on Worshipify, oh, Nathan, looky there. That That playlist isn't showing. But the one I need is there. Is Acts 12:4 mistranslated? That's the one you want to look at. It's on YouTube. It's on Worshipify. It's on Randy White Ministries. Is Acts 12:4 mistranslated? And you'll get my sermon on that. There's also a book, a very good book by Brian Ross that's available at Dispensational Publishing House or some of those other places you might order books to. And it is called Don't Pass Over Easter. Don't Pass Over Easter by Brian Ross. And it'll explain why the King James uses the word Easter in Acts chapter 12, verse 4. I think it was a perfectly good word. And it meant the right thing. Thank you, thank you. Okay, we got another King James question here. This comes from Randy down in Corsicana, Texas. And the question is based upon 2 Timothy 2:15. Why do you think the NASB ignores orthotomeo, to cut straight, in 2 Timothy 2:15, rightly dividing in the King James? I'll tell you, not only NASB, but I would say all of the modern versions, and let's just go ahead and pull up a comparison. All of the modern versions ignore orthotomeo. Orthotomeo is a clear word. There's no surprise on what orthotomeo means. It means literally to make a straight cut, and if you want to put that in concise, good, proper English, you would say rightly dividing. It's a participle. And so if we pull up, let's just go ahead and do another verse comparison here in 2 Timothy 2, verse 15. And again, you can't do this on Biblify because we don't pay those copyright fees for all those modern fake versions. But here we go. Rightly dividing is what we've got in the King James. NASB says accurately handling. ESV says rightly handling. NIV says correctly handles. No Greek scholar anywhere would say orthotomeo means handle it correctly. Doesn't mean that. That is somebody's interpretation of what it means. But to the, the Lockman Foundation, dear friends of the Lockman Foundation who do the New American Standard Bible, I guess it's the new American Standard. You had the American Standard, you had the New American Standard, now you got the new American Standard 95 version. I don't know if 95 is their latest or if they had another one. But in all of them, they interpreted it. So, back to my comment. Dear friends of the Lockman Foundation, if you would like to print commentaries, do so. But don't call it a Bible. A commentary is not a Bible. Correctly handling is commentary. And if you say correctly handling is the Bible, you remove people a step from the Bible, and they don't know what it means to correctly handle. There is the Greek word for cutting and doing it straight. If people come to the word knowing that they need to cut, make a division, then they will be able to rightly handle it. But what if they don't know that because you told them you were selling them a Bible, but you were actually selling them a commentary? That would be problematic, wouldn't it? So why do they ignore it? Because They would have to, they would have to be a dispensationalist. If you take orthotomeo for its literal meaning, and remember NASB, this is what I was always taught in the big box seminary. NASB is the most precise and accurate English translation there is. Except when it ain't. And accurately handling is not the most literal translation there is. ESV likes to say it to you, or most literal translation there is. We just literally don't take it very literally, but we're the most literal translation that there is. And that it's honestly, it's just laughable. I want to see here. Let's go to the NASB. 2 Timothy 2:15. Yeah, okay. In this case, they don't even put a footnote. Sometimes NASB, the most literal translation there is, has hundreds of footnotes that say, literally, and then they tell you what the King James says. So that's, I was reading this as NASB. I noticed, Randy, it says NABE. I'm assuming that was just a typo or something, that it should be NASB. But if there is an NABE and I missed that whole thing, then let me know. Oh, Shirley, thank you. I didn't know that. James White is critical consultant for Lockman Foundation. Now, I guess I just made myself a critical consultant too. Dear Lockman Foundation, quit doing commentaries and calling it a Bible. Love, Randy. Jay in Tennessee, you're right. There's nothing to divide because there's only one gospel and we're all Israel. That's right. It would totally change their theology if they went with the literal. We're all Israel. Exactly. Randy thinks it was a typo. I thought it was NASB. I read it as NASB, and then I got to looking closer and said, oh, that doesn't say NASB. So I just thought I should check that out. Beverly, thank you. Randy's a doctor with the specialty of being a word surgeon. I hope you're charging accordingly. Yeah, should we start charging, Shirley? No, excuse me, Beverly. I'm going to take one more question, even though I only have one more minute. Manny in San Antonio. Did the saints go to Abraham's bosom when they died? Yes, I think so. The saints were talking, well, I guess I'll have to rightly divide this question. It depends on which saints you're talking about. Let me reach down here for my poster. Saints prior to the blue line. Saints are all in red. These here in, let's say, the days of the gospel, like John the Baptist, who died before any of this ever came about, or James the Apostle, who died before any of this came about, they went to Abraham's bosom. Now, let's take Andronicus and Junia. Romans chapter 14, I think it's verse 9, but I may be wrong on the verse. Chapter 16, excuse me. Andronicus and Junius were in this overlap period. They were saints, they were Jewish, held to a kingdom gospel, and they heard Paul, and my assumption, and I think I'm right here, is that they also accepted the Pauline gospel. I think if they accepted the Pauline gospel, they did not go to Abraham's bosom. Rather, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. They went to the Lord. But when the Lord returns to gather this group, they will be among the 10,000s of saints that return with him. It's not the church that returns with him. It's these saints that happen to be in heaven, 10,000 of them or more. I think it says thousands and thousands, something like that. So the post-Pauline saints, like Paul, did not go to Abraham's bosom. The pre-Pauline saints went to Abraham's bosom. The post-Pauline saints will be on the return trip to gather out of Abraham's bosom at the time of the resurrection. And then we'll be there with them for the kingdom judgment. That's a quickie on that. And for those of you who have not studied with us too much, you might be a little confused there. Appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you are here. I don't know anything about this, but Linda says, breaking news. U.S. signed a partial nuclear deal with Iran. Also breaking news. Iran already broke the deal. Yeah. I don't even know why you would negotiate and have these kind of deals with that. I think Donald Trump was doing the right thing. He was circling Iran. Getting Saudi Arabia and, Emirates and some of these other places on board with the United States and with Israel. And he was going to build a wall around Iran, a political wall around Iran. Give him enough time, he would have brought the Iranian regime crumbling, which it's going to crumble someday. But he would have sped it up. Now, we just negotiate with them and things that we know as, they'll sign whatever. Okay, out of time. Thanks for joining me today and all week this week. We'll be here and broadcasting and do a little Bible study midweek, Wednesday and Thursday, and have a good time with all of that. And you can ask your questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at AskTheTheologian.com. Appreciate it, one of you. Take care.